And the title of my talk this morning is a few words about this body mind. So these are just a few that the common words that came to my mind that really speak to the inherent connection between body and mind, or maybe I should say the inherent not separation. And we, of course, use one word, body mind. But each of these words can get a bad rap. So the first one is psychosomatic. And your complaints, your illnesses are psychosomatic, which can be understood or misunderstood as they're not real. Um, and so I looked it up, of course, and the definition I found was a psychosomatic disorder is any physical condition that stress can help cause or make worse. Now, first of all, my first complaint here is how could it be known what actually was caused by stress? Because that view runs completely counter to what I understand about conditionality. How could one thing, one con condition, and it alone be the cause of any physical condition? Or how could stress, in this case, be the one cause of any physical condition? Now, I would agree that most physical conditions can be made worse by stress. And then I immediately went to, and that's probably why there's so much interest in, or one of the reasons why there's so much interest in meditation, because it can reduce stress. And maybe that's why so many medical professionals prescribe meditation. I sometimes think that when I go to medical professionals and then I say, well, I've been meditating for whatever, all these decades, and I'm a meditation teacher. They don't know. They want to prescribe meditation, but they know that that's not really going to be it, right? I'm not sure about that, but it seems that way. But anyway, I went to some site and it said, listed all these things that can be helped by meditation: chronic pain, heart disease, asthma, fibromyalgia, diabetes, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, sleep problems, PTSD, and even cancer. So this is the good news. Great that meditation can help these things. But maybe there's some bad news too, in the sense that here we are, meditators. We have some of these problems. I bet we could go down that list and we could probably, yeah, I have that one. Could probably check it all off. Um, so, but really the bad news is it can feed the demon of self-blame and self-criticism. That view that I must have done something wrong or not good enough, that if I meditate and I still have this problem. On the other hand, we are all under quite a bit of stress these days, no doubt. And it's good to remember that there are many factors at play that meditation can't touch. I don't think that as much as we meditate, we probably can't change the climate, the temperature of the climate, or the political outcome of elections, right? Um, Again, I'm not saying meditation doesn't help, but there's so much else that is beyond the reach of our actions. So another word, placebo effect. Now, the placebo effect can be construed as it's what the healing is not real healing. But I see it as the placebo effect points directly to the interplay between what is perceived as physical and what is perceived as mental or emotional. So what AI has to say is the placebo effect is a phenomena where a person experiences improvement in their health or condition after treatment that is known to be inactive or fake. I have some problems with that word fake, but that's what AI said. And Harvard Medical School said, your mind can be a powerful healing tool when given the chance. The idea that your brain can convince your body a fake treatment, again, that word fake, is the real thing. Again, I have questions with that language, is the so-called placebo effect, and thus stimulate healing has been around for millennia. Now scientists has found that under the right circumstance, a placebo can be just as effective as traditional treatments. Really, I think placebo effect is a great thing rather than a lie or a fake. It shows us how much our subjective experience matters. This is not all objective. Our experience, saying it's fake is saying it's all objective. And it shows how much our views of something really influence its impact. And then it's wonderful. Just think, we could get an effective treatment without any side effects. If they give you a sugar pill or whatever, it has no side effects, where the real thing might have side effects. And then when I studied it a little further, they're saying now that the placebo effect is not just about positive thinking. It involves complex neurobiological reactions, which can include the release of endorphins and dopamine, as well as increased activities in the brain regions affected by mood and emotional responses. Can even activate the immune system. And studies have shown that the placebo response can range from 15% to 58%, with an average of 35%. In other words, a substantial portion of observed healing or symptom relief is caused, or whatever is it can be attributed to the placebo effect. A third word, somatization, which also can get a bad rap. And its definition is a conversion of a mental state, such as depression or anxiety, into physical symptoms, but also the existence of physical bodily complaints in the absence of a known medical condition. I question this one as well. How does one know which comes first, and which is the conversion? A conversion of a mental state. They're saying the mental state comes first, and then it turns into the bodily experience. And then I wonder, they say that in the absence of a known medical condition, well, maybe they just can't figure out what it is or diagnose it. So that's what they often do. They say, it's all in your head. Um, so, and also another part about this, and I haven't thought this through a lot, but I think this is true, that some of us are better able to perceive distress in the body. It's just like, and others more easily become aware of distress in the mind or the emotions. So a couple of days ago, Linda spoke about the stories we tell ourselves. And, we often talk about that, right? So I'm going to end this talk with a story I often tell myself about my father related to this topic, and my beginning to question that story. So when I was 8 years old, this is the story I tell myself and tell others. I'm telling you. When I was 8 years old, he went bankrupt, and that led to his major depression, which then led to his heart disease, which then led to his vascular dementia and death. Now, that certainly is the chronology of what happened. That happened. And we know that bankruptcy is a trauma and a stressor, especially for men in the 1950s who saw their role as supporting the family. I think he felt like a total failure at that point. And we know there's a connection between depression and heart disease, and that heart disease causes vascular dementia. But still, I'm pretty sure the story I'm telling myself is overly simplified, too simple, too straightforward. I'm sure there must have been so much else at play going on. And I could easily tell the story differently or add to the story. I won't do that now. I'll do that in my own time. But I'm describing the process of what we do in reflective meditation as we enlarge the story. And I believe, I'm quite sure actually, there's something healing about enlarging the stories we tell ourselves. Certainly healing to our minds and hearts, but maybe also experienced physically or perceived physically. So on that note, let us meditate.